I am excited to announce my new podcast, Giving Legends. It's an opportunity for me, Hannibal Navies, and my co-host Charlie Batch to talk with people of influence who are committed to building a legacy through service. Stay tuned and learn what makes them Giving Legends.
Welcome to another edition of Giving Legends podcast. I'm Charlie Batch, joined by my co-host, Mr. Hannibal Navies.
What's up?
And also today we are joined by NFL legend, Mr. Warrick Dunn. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How you guys?
We're good, man.
Doing
good.
well. Hey, man, talking a lot about everything that you're doing off the field, but we got to give a shout out real quick as we start this. Your Florida State Seminoles, they're rocking and rolling. How proud are you as an alum?
I am. I can actually talk a little trash for the first couple of weeks, but I've seen a lot of good progress in the first few weeks. So I know they're off this weekend, but it's good to see they're competing and they're not giving up. If they have something negative that happens, the guys are coming back and they've been resilient. And I think a lot of times kids today are not resilient. They instant gratification. Right. So they're actually working. And Coach Norvell is doing a good job. So I'm proud of him.
Absolutely. And I think when you look back, and obviously going back to that Florida State days, at what point did you really feel like you really had a chance to make the NFL?
Well, I guess after my junior year, when everyone thought I was going to leave school and I decided to go back for another year, I was just like, I haven't had money for 21 years. So what's another year, right? So then that's when I actually thought that I could play. Going in being 5'7", and I went to college, I was 150 some pounds, so I gained like 20 pounds in college. Not sure that I could be that every down back, a guy who can play at the next level. So, I was just trying to be who I can be and compete. And then it said, hey, you can play in the National Football League. The opportunities are like, really? Okay, well, I want to come back another year to continue to prove that I can be consistent.
You proved it and you took it and you ran with it, literally. And you get to that point, man, and you really had an awesome career as you go through. Yeah. I always say that you should be in the Hall of Fame. I know you're not one to speak about it, but I truly believe that you should be there because you're knocking on that door as an awesome career that you had.
Well, just so you know, I was running for my life. When you're 5'9", 185 pounds, I mean, I'm playing against giants. I'm having to block Kevin Green. I mean, these big defensive ends that, most guys couldn't block. So I was trying to make sure that I was balanced, that I could run, block, and catch the ball. And, I did all three, and I thought I played at a high level, but I thought I was consistent also. But I was just trying to have fun. And I couldn't worry about what the naysayers were saying. You have to really just focus on yourself. And I worked hard. I worked out 3 times a day in the summertime so that I was prepared for, if they called my number, I was always going to be ready. So it's just one of those things that I just grew up having a little chip on my shoulder, being that rebel. So
I know you got drafted to Tony Dungy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your career started in Tampa. Tell me what that was like playing for such a great man and how he inspired you.
Well, playing for Coach Dungy, I think he was heaven sent because, that was only 4 years removed from after losing my mom. And I think the Lord put certain people in my life, and he was one of those individuals that believed that I could play at that level, but at the same time, he wasn't just focused on football. I mean, he was really focused on, hey, we can be a great football team, but what about the community and so forth? So, he was someone that I looked up to. He never yelled, and when he yelled, it was a problem. When he would get upset. But I think overall, his mindset was we all had to do our part. If we can all do our part, then we'll be successful. But I just remember my rookie year when he took all the rookies in the room and just really explained and talked to us about giving back, being involved in the community, just being a part of the community, not just playing a game of football. And that really inspired me to do the things I've done off the field for the last.
Right. And I know you hit adversity early in your life, early in your career, losing your mother, and I'll let you tell that story. But for me, what I really want to understand from you is how did you persevere through something so traumatic for you, right? Not only did you persevere, but you took care of your family and started something great from that, right? But who rallied around you to help you get over that?
Well, I got to give my grandmother a lot of credit. She came and moved in with us after my mom had passed, but also I had a really good, close-knit, my mom's friends, other individuals that I had a guy who was considered like my father figure, my pops, Malin Brooks, who, he really stepped up and was there for me, someone that I could call on, lean on, who taught me a lot about life. But I think, and I say this, often to people, is that my mom was preparing me for if anything ever happened, that I would step in. Because, I could easily say, like, you know what? I'm not worried about you guys. Hey, you live your life, I'm going to live mine and do whatever. But I was focused on more, I got to make sure that we all stay together. And that was really more my driving force the first few years of just really making sure that they had everything they need to be successful, do well in school, but just making sure that I can pick up where my mom left off. And that was the most important thing for me.
And I know you speak openly about counseling and getting therapy and things like that. Is that something that you started early back then, or is that something you picked up and understood later?
I actually started 10 years afterwards.
Oh, really?
When I was in college, I didn't go out, I didn't party, I didn't do anything. Went to Tampa. I didn't hang out with my teammates. I didn't talk to a lot of people. And plus, people don't know this, that the second year I was there, I moved my 3 youngest brothers in. They were living with me. So I was being an everyday parent, going to PTA meetings, going to their games and stuff on Fridays and so forth, but then also trying to play the game of football. And I just wasn't really involved in a lot of things, and I didn't know it. I think that was my way of coping with things during that time. And then when I came to Atlanta, going to Atlanta in 2000, then 2003, I just heard a guy in the locker room talk about counseling. Like another player was going to counseling to catch the ball. I just thought, like, catch a ball? Yeah. I can do this in my sleep. Right. And I heard that story, and just later on that evening, I told a friend about it. And I said, you know what, I think I need to go to counseling. And that's when I started. And I didn't tell anybody for years because I was so ashamed. Then I got to the point where, I know when I first started, I was crying every day, just being emotional, didn't realize what you have inside, learned that I was depressed all these years, that I was just coasting through life. But I got to the point where, I needed answers. I was having a lot of questions, needed answers. And I got to the point where I went and talked to the guy who shot and killed my mom in prison. Wow. And I was searching, at that time, I was searching for peace because he had so much control over my life. I didn't want to hold hands. I didn't want to do anything because as a kid, growing up with your mother, and being the oldest, I had a lot of responsibilities. We were close. We always talked. And, it's just one of those things that I needed to search for peace for myself. It was a heinous crime, but I needed to go and see him and say, you know what? I forgive you what you did, right? I hadn't forgotten. It still affects me, but I need to make sure I take that power back from me because he had so much power in my life that, I was searching. And then I got to the point where I didn't really care what anyone said. I came out, I think I did an interview with Andrea Kramer, ESPN. I just came out, talked about going to counseling, that I go to counseling, and that I know the stigma, though, is that when you're a football player in Black communities, minority communities, that you don't talk about that stuff. And I didn't care anymore. If you want to talk bad about me, you go right ahead. Right. You're not going to hurt my feelings because I know starting, I was so ashamed. Yeah. I would go through the back door. I would go through the side door, hide in the room, and wait to somebody. But I got to the point where I just didn't care what anyone thought or said.
I would like to thank Athletes Charitable for sponsoring today's Given Legends podcast. Athletes Charitable offers a concierge membership service that provides the tools and resources to build a legacy through service. Our athlete-led team has the first-hand experience and expertise to provide hands-on support that simplifies the entire process for athletes and entertainers to reach their social entrepreneurship goals and create lasting impact in their communities. To learn more, check out the link in the bio.
To that point, you being open about it, that in itself has helped so many of us, right? Other players and other people in general, right? But to see somebody of your stature as another football player, watching somebody of your stature getting up there talking about mental health and going to counseling and needing it, I'm sure that opened up the door and the spectrum from a lot of other players under you. And I know you work for the NFL Legends, right? And you work with transitioning football players. So what would be your message to them about mental health and counseling and being able to cope with that?
Well, you can't be ashamed. I mean, we all have to make sure that we have a balance. And, I still work on that today. You got to have a work-life balance. But the pressures that we're under as former players that, once you leave the game, now you got to figure out what are you going to do. And most people, football is just, that's their whole life. They don't know nothing else. So it's just like, they have to figure out their direction. And the Legends program is there to make sure that guys stay connected, that this is still a family. It's like in the locker room, that's how you felt in the locker room with your teammates around. That's the Legends program. We want to make sure guys stay connected, also have access to all of their benefits, and really just take advantage of that. And, I would stress to guys, we have a lot of programs that could help with mental health. You shouldn't be ashamed. We all need assistance. And I tell people, billionaires go to counseling. Why should you be ashamed to go to counseling? We all need that balance. And I would just challenge them is that if you're working on yourself and you're focused on trying to make sure you're in a position to where you can go out and do the things that you really love and help people, counseling is only a benefit. It's not a hindrance. And we have to get that stigma out there and talk about that more. And I would tell more guys, you need to come out and talk about, your journey of going to counseling, letting other people know, letting other people in low-income communities know about it. If you do that, it becomes a norm that it's not a negative going to counseling and talking to somebody who help you to make sure your life is balanced.
Right. Absolutely. You talk about that work-life balance, you taking power back. For me, not a lot of people realize your story as far as what you were doing off the field until you were named NFL Man of the Year in 2004. Take me through that process, because you're not a man for accolades, but take me through that process of how you got to the point of doing what you were doing off the field with your foundation.
Well, like I said, I started back in 97 getting drafted, and Coach Dungy challenged the rookies about getting involved and giving back. And just later that night, I went back and I was like, what can I do to be a part of the Tampa community, make an impact? And I just started thinking about things that I can connect to. And I thought about my mom and her dream of home ownership, being the oldest, understanding that we moved a lot of different places, and being a police officer, only making $36,000 and raising 6 kids, we had to stay in apartments, and she was the security. So we were able to stay free for a little while, but that wasn't sustainable. And just understanding that she couldn't save up money, she couldn't get this and couldn't do that. I thought about her issues, and I was like, how can I go and help other parents, but most importantly, the kids, not have to go through what I went through? Because not everybody's going to respond to adversity like that. And how can I go and help those guys? And, I started this program, Homes for the Holidays, in 1997. And we started with 3 homes. And honestly, I gave the keys, and I didn't really understand, why they're so emotional. They're so thankful. I didn't really understand until I went back home later that night and I watched the news, and I can see the impact, the expression on these families' faces. And it was 3 mothers at first, because I was just focused on single moms. When I saw their emotions, I was like, wow, I want to do this again, but I need to go home where it all started. So after that, we did that 3 homes in 97, went back to Baton Rouge that following year and did 6 homes in 98. Then I was just like, I got to go back to Tallahassee. And then I really just started expanding. And crazy thing, I was writing the check out of my own pocket. And I wrote the check, and I just felt rewarded. And I just felt like this is the thing to do that can help me connect with individuals. And it just really growth. And over the years, in Tampa for 5 years, and then I became an Atlanta Falcon. And I was really driven by Mr. Blank. He just became a majority owner of the Atlanta Falcons, and his passion was more about the community. It wasn't about football. We didn't talk about football when I was on my trip. We really focused more about the impact in the community, how we can help the Atlanta community and so forth. And I learned a lot from him early on, but he really saw something in me that gave me the motivation to, maybe it's time for me to start a charity. Then I renamed the charity several times. So I had Warrick Dunn Family Foundation, Warrick Dunn Foundation. I said, we're going to be Warrick Dunn Charities, because we want to be able to not just be a family thing, but we want to be able to help people in other cities and across the country. And we just celebrated 25 years last November.
That's incredible.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, and we up to now 218 single-parent families that we've been able to help over the years. And we've helped 5 single fathers as well. So now I'm all about, we need to help single-parent families, help single fathers come forward. And that's another thing. It's like, as men, we're so strong, we don't ask for help.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to encourage more men to step up. I mean, getting some assistance is not going to hurt your pride.
Right.
We're just trying to help you create a better, stable environment for your kids and your family long term. So it's been positive.
That's incredible, man. A lot of the people that we want to listen to this are be up and coming young athletes that want to get into philanthropy. And we all kind of start off, Charlie did, we all start off by just paying our own way in, right? We just want to help. We don't know nothing about foundation work. We just want to get back to the community, and we're helping that way. And turning it into what you turn it into now is basically like I call it a philanthropic empire, right? You're really having true impact. If I look at the numbers, I read the numbers over this morning, it's incredible the impact numbers that you really have. But I've been watching you since college, and for me, what has always stood out has been your philanthropy off the field. Right. So, and I work with a lot of young athletes now when I onboard them with Athletes Charitable, and they all look at what you do and aspire, like, I want to do something like Warrick Dunn, right? So with that being said, what kind of advice, and talk about the blocking and tackling of philanthropy, because I know it's not easy to do. It's something that you have to be committed to and continue to do, but it is a business, right? So tell me a little bit about kind of the blocking and tackling of how you got to where you are with your foundation.
Well, it is a challenge, I would say, because when you start your own nonprofit, the feds are involved. So they're watching the dollars that come in and that go out. So it's that financial responsibility, I think, is really important. But when I first started, like I said, it was a program. I was encouraged to start a nonprofit to be able to, go out and maybe help, more people in the community. I could have kept having a program, but I wouldn't have a lot of control or impact. And, when I was there, I had no idea, like, what do you do with the charities, this or that? So I just said, let me be open and sit back and just learn. So I had a board president, and now I have a lot of conversations with the board president, understanding how boards interact, understanding, the restrictions, the things you can do. Then, the more you get involved, you understand the ratios of programming to staff and so forth. I wanted to make sure that I brought in people that actually understood nonprofit, that could also educate me and teach me about some things. And I got to the point over the years where I just asked a lot of questions. I inquired a lot. I spent time with the CPA to see how the numbers and those things were going. But I became the executive director. And that, that was after like 10 years of us up and going. And I started to learn more of the day-to-day with the responsibilities of a person who's managing the whole organization, being part of financial decision-making, all the rules. And I had restrictions on what I can do and so forth. So just over the years, I have a really good understanding of nonprofit. And looking back, sometimes it's like, would I ever start wanting to do it again? It's like, no. So, you don't think about that because it's so much responsibility. And it's that, like I said, the feds are watching. You can't scheme, you can't get away with anything because they're looking at every little bit that comes in because you're a nonprofit and they want to know if you're stealing from people or if you're just using the funds for your own benefits. So I learned a lot, but most important thing I did is I learned to listen. I sat back. I didn't come in like I knew everything. I sat back and just tried to take it in. And then eventually I went to business school, got my master's at Emory for 2 years. Then I came in, it's like, oh, well, this is actually a business as well. So we have to make money, you raise money, you make money in order to operate and be functional. So I try to apply some business tools, those things to nonprofit to help us grow. And we started to grow and we did some really good things and we're still around. And it's the people around you. And I have a board I'm able to have up to 20 board members with my bylaws and all those things. And, you know, I got responsibility around me. You have other people that's also holding you accountable because the board votes on everything that happens. They're engaged. They're part of, okay, this is what we're doing programming-wise and so forth. So when you grow, it is because people around you are helping you do that. It's not just because, oh, I have the money, let me just go and pay people to do this. No, it takes an actual community because you got to take people on the outside who are passionate about what you're passionate about and they're able to come in and help guide you and lead you. So it's having CPAs involved, lawyers, it's just some people who are specialists in certain areas that are able to really come in and it's given me really good direction and growth. So it's been prosperous over the years.
I would like to thank United Charitable for sponsoring today's Giving Legends podcast. United Charitable is a national nonprofit that focuses on guiding you on your charitable journey. Whether you like to simply streamline your giving or you like to create your own charitable initiative, United Charitable has the knowledge and resources to support you. If you'd like to learn more, check out the link in our bio.
And that's important. You know, I'm glad you had the opportunity to share that because not many people understand what goes on behind the scenes when you're trying to do all of this yourself. And that's why you need help trying to do those type of things. And one thing that, as you talk about the business side of it, and as you go through all the programming, you just celebrated 25 years. Is there one story that sticks out more than the other when you see the emotions, when you're handing those keys over, and maybe the impact maybe years later that you didn't realize that those seeds that you planted back then now are coming to fruition?
Well, it's crazy because I can't just take one family that we've been able to assist, but I've become friends and have people that call me. They have these little nicknames for me when I talk to them and so forth. I built a relationship with a lot of the recipients, and I've been able to see them grow over the years. I mean, I have one that sold her home, bought another home, and now her kid bought their home. So we see this has affected generations, right? And we've done academic studies. We've gotten feedback on just the impact that we're making and how we're creating that stability. What we give to the families or how we help them on that first day really gets them off to a true fresh start to home ownership. Because a lot of people first purchase a home, what you do? You got to give the additional money down payment to help lower the payments on your bills. And today with the interest rates are crazy. But also when you move in, we're all trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to put in this room? How are we going to outfit this room and that room? We come in and give people a true fresh start to home ownership. And that has really, leveled the playing field for them. So now they're able to take what we've given them and really advance and move forward and create that stability. And our success rate is, 90. The last time we just have a study now that we're about to bring out the statistics. What the last study we did, 92% success rate, meaning families are still in a home or they bought another home and moved on. So they're moving forward. And some people have increased on a job status. Right. Kids have gone to college. So I just understand like communities that when you create that stability, home ownership stability for the family, definitely for the kids, they're much more confident, they do better in school. It's just so much more engagement. So it's been a lot of benefits and pluses to create home ownership for individuals.
And I know you don't know, everybody doesn't know the process of how you go about selecting the families and things like that and what they have to do to get to it. But you have a really, you talk about the success rate. The success rate is not going to be based off of you just giving keys and hopefully they're successful. You do a lot on the front end and a lot on the back end to make sure they go through this ecosystem of education, different things. Talk a little bit about that, because I think that's really the key to the success of the program, because you can hand keys out, right? But you do a lot more than just that. So talk about that.
Right. Well, you're right. And a lot of times we partner with a habitat. So they have a program where the families have to be, credit ready, in a position, they have to work on their own home. That's a lot of that sweat equity. So we partner with them. We partner with local municipalities with this process, but everyone has to be in a position where they can get a loan or get approved for a house. once they get into the home, we come in is that now we have a financial literacy program called Count on Your Future, where we tell families that we're thinking more long-term. And I always talk about needs versus wants, because a lot of times in life, we just want stuff. Yeah. It's not that what we need. So I try to teach that financial responsibility about budgeting and those things. But we also say you need to invest in yourself, meaning that you can start a savings account and we will match you up to $500. So if you invest $500 in yourself, you have $1,000. Right. You have a savings account to get going down the road. And they would have access to a financial advisor for 2 years, and it's an IDA account where we don't want people to start a savings account and just take the money out. We want to think 20, 30 years, compounding interest. So we try to educate them on some things, but the mindset is I need to spend money on what I need, not the things I want. So we try to help families in that way. That's Count on Your Future program. I have a program called SCOPE. It's a healthy food initiative where we try to educate families on cooking quick and healthy meals, but most importantly, they get to the point where they can grow their food in their backyard, build a vegetable box, grow their food in their backyard. But I've tried to now go and encourage them to get tested for cholesterol, diabetes, so being much healthier overall, right? Working out. We want them to work out, train, do those things just to really be involved. So, we started this program to really just the overall health of an individual, and we want to try to monitor that from the first day on to help them be around a lot longer. Low-income families don't usually see doctors, so we want to try to make sure they have access to all of that stuff as well. I've also started a program that's called Hearts for Community Service, where we have a scholarship program where kids who are involved in their community giving back, but also need some financial assistance in school. And those are $5,000 scholarships that we have. And the thing is, I relaunched this program I started back in 2011-12 called Betty's Hope. It's a mental health program. At first, it was just focused on bereavement because I lost my mom. I wanted to help other kids who may be going through something similar, but I brought Betty's Hope back where we can go and help kids who don't have access to mental health specialists to be able to give them the tools and resources they would need to make sure they live a balanced life. And we're really focused on those schools that are struggling in low-income communities, but we're just trying to create that opportunity so that what we're teaching them, they can learn that if I'm being bullied, those things they can respond in the right way, so we don't have the trauma that we deal with every day in Black communities. So we've been able to really make things much more holistic. And I mean, I do a lot of things, so I can go on and on and on. But when I started building housing as well, I've gotten to the point now, we want a healthy mind, healthy body, just so we have a healthier society overall.
And that's why we're here. We want to learn that. Not many people learn or know what you're doing behind the scenes. So we appreciate it. And I think when you get to that point, all the things that you just talked about, where can people go to find information out about what you are currently doing?
Well, they can go to wdc.org. They just look up Warrick Dunn Charities, they'll find us. And when I actually started building housing, like I said, we have wdcommunities.org where people can go, and we partner with cities, and we're trying to grow that platform to where now we're able to partner with more cities to build more housing. And this wouldn't just be focused on single parent families. This would be just focused on families, workforce. So, because today, even workforce individuals can't really afford housing because of the interest rate. So we want to be able to build, like I said, healthy mind, healthy body, just a healthy community. And that's what communities is all about.
And I think when you look at where you're at right now, and as we get ready to come to a close, what would your mom say about you right now?
She would probably, I would hope that she's happy, but I know at the same time I can always do some things better. My mom, being a police officer, I brag about my mom all the time. She was state champion in high hurdles, and she was very athletic, and I probably got a lot of my athletic ability from her and my dad, but she always challenged me to be the best that I could be. Rise above it all. And You know, I was much more mature in certain areas before my time, but I was very immature in other areas because I had to learn things from other men, which, thank goodness, I've surrounded myself with guys who love and care about me. But I just hope my mom would be happy that I kept us all together early on. I mean, believe me, 18 years old, when you got to go to the hospital and you get on the phone, talk to a police chief, and you still don't know what happened, and you walk into the room. I was there to identify the body. And then going back home, realizing, like, you know what? My mom would want me to make sure that I take care of my 5 younger brothers and sisters. And that's all I cared about. And they gave me the blessing to be able to leave Baton Rouge and go to a Florida state. And I just had that support system. So, you know, I just hope that, you know, she knows that I've just tried to be the best big brother, but also I was more like a father figure to them. But also, I didn't turn my back on my brothers and sisters, that I made sure we all came along together. So we all tight, we talk, we all, as you know, brothers and sisters don't always agree, you know, this or that, but we are still in each other's lives, and that's the most important thing.
And that is awesome, man. As you heard it first from Warrick Dunn, straight out of his mouth, not only a Hall of Famer in life, we are starting this campaign to get him into the National Football League Hall of Fame. That's what we're doing. Pro Football Hall of Fame, the official name of it. But that's what we're, Aaron, and that's what we're trying to do at this particular point, man. So as we congratulate you on everything that you've done off the field, man, we are supportive, whatever we could do in our way. We're more than happy to do that. So we appreciate you being on the podcast. Mr. Warrick Dunn, this is Hannibal Navies. Appreciate you joining us on this episode.
Find us on YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and comment on what inspires you to be a giving legend in your community.